Good morning, Mr. Roth's class. Mr. Roth had contacted me about speaking to you guys about some information about research. So I'm going to do just a little presentation for you here to give you my thoughts on research. Well, where do we begin with research? And it's a big deal to make sure that you are approaching research the correct way. Quality research leads to advanced knowledge, identifies trends and patterns. It is thorough, accurate, original, and relevant. Research makes note of previous research on a topic. It uses relevant data and proper analysis. It is guided by logic and it is replicable and transparent. Most of all, it is ethical, free of falsification, meaning there's no manipulation or omission to the research, fabrication, no making up of data and results, and plagiarism, using another person's work without giving credit. And let me just make a special note here. Plagiarism is a big deal, especially if you're going off to college in the near future here. You don't ever want to get yourself in a position where you're accused of plagiarizing. That could end your college career very quickly. It could end your position as a professional. Just don't do it. Don't ever use somebody else's information and call it your own. The reason all that garbage gets downloaded onto your computer is to collect data on what you do. What you do on the internet translates in how an organization does business in order to determine how to get your money. The world is research and data driven. They are gathering research on you every time you pick up one of your electronic devices. No matter where you go, what you do, what you click on, what you buy, they are paying attention because research on that type of information results in money. So research is just not about writing a paper. There are many other aspects involved to it. Not only is research a task of education, it is also important in business and on a personal level. You are going to find yourself doing research on loans, medical treatments, and the purchase of a new car, as well as other things as you move forward in adulthood. It is a tool of life. Um, if you've got a big purchase and anything you're doing involves a lot of money, you are going to want to research that topic to make sure that you're making the best choice possible for you, your family, your future, whatever the case may be. So we seem to have this idea that research is just about school and writing papers. It's more than that. It is a life skill. It's something you're going to be doing all the time. Use of sources. The way it currently is, we are experiencing a period where it has become okay to alter the facts. I personally would call that lies, but there seems to be reluctance to call it that. You aren't always getting the truth. Two big terms you need to know about when dealing with information, and these two terms are being thrown about in the media all the time right now. Number one is misinformation, with the MIS at the beginning. It is incorrect information you received that was a mistake. Misinformation is a mistake. The average American eats 64 apples a year. Nope, they actually eat 78. A mistake was made in presenting the data. Then there is disinformation. Disinformation is completely inaccurate information. I remember the term by thinking, "this ain't true," which will make you laugh, but disinformation, "this ain't true," is the best way I can think of to keep the difference in my mind between misinformation and disinformation. Here's an example of disinformation. In the United States, the average American consumes 25 pounds of horse meat each month. This ain't true. It is completely inaccurate. Um, it kind of started out in the whole political realm of misinformation and disinformation, but I do think we need to be careful everywhere we go when doing research to make sure you are getting accurate information. You have to be careful where your information is coming from. You must use reliable resources. And the bottom line is reputable resources can take time to find. And the longer you do research, the more familiar you'll become with sources and voices you can and cannot trust. You have to be careful where. Um, it's just very important, or you're going to find yourself in a load of trouble. So be careful what type of sources you are using. So that brings us down to source credibility. Hopefully, you do remember when you were in elementary school here, I didn't let you do Google searches. Um, I encourage you to use the good sources that we provided for you. As you continue on with your schooling or your post high school life, You have to be cognizant of where your information is coming from. When you go to a post-secondary institution, they do an excellent job of providing you with a library full of resources and access to multiple databases of high-quality research material. Excuse me. I can remember once when I was in college back in the Stone Ages, wanting to find something just read for pleasure. I went into the college library. You're not going to find that there. Your college and university libraries are meant for research and the access of knowledge. You're not going to find flivvy magazines in there to go and read about Cosmo or something like that. It's the real stuff. So, all opinions on topics in a college library are fair game. They're going to tell you the left of it, they're going to tell you the right of it. They're going to tell you the good side, they're going to tell you the bad side. All opinions will be expressed. I'm going to tell you right now, it's important to set yourself apart from the herd. You need to be the one who does the high quality work that synthesizes all that information into new thoughts and ideas. Read what is available to you. Make the extra effort to gather the information and be the one who comes out at the top of the class writing the best paper. Set yourself apart. If you set yourself apart, there are going to be way more doors open to you when you are ready to start looking for a job. You need to excel. You need to pop out on top so that you set yourself apart. Do the work. Don't cheap out on research with a midnight Google search that uses Wikipedia as your main source. Just don't do it. Make the time to go to the library, speak to the librarians, browse the shelves, and for Pete's sakes, check the databases that they have there. Um, there's no way around it. Research is hard work and it is time consuming. Make it easier on yourself by going after the good stuff to use for your research so you get done in a timely fashion and create high quality work. Being in college in that aspect is not different than any other schooling you've had previous to that. You want to get done, and nobody wants that paper, that 15-page paper hanging over their head forever and ever. Get it done in a timely fashion, and you get it done in a timely fashion by using high quality resources. Um, you're just going to find what you want. You're going to meet the goals of the teacher, and you're going to produce a high quality product. And once again, it's that production of the high quality product that is going to set you apart from everybody else in the classroom. And really, if you use the good stuff and do it in a timely fashion, writing that paper does not have to be as overwhelming as it would be if you're out there looking at junk resources. Use the good stuff and keep track of where you get it from, so you can go back and reuse it if you need to as you write through the paper. Very important to check that source credibility. The person needs to be an expert. Um, you have to be careful for bias, depending upon what you're writing. You want, I've talked about this when you guys were in third grade. Just the facts, Jack. You want the facts. And once you get the facts, you take that information and you synthesize it into a recreated product where you put your thoughts and ideas, along with all that research, into the final result. Very important. Personal life. Some of you, maybe you headed off to a secondary institution. Some of you may be going on to the military. Maybe some of you are just going to get a job locally and stay. Whatever the case, research is part of your personal life. As I mentioned earlier, whether you believe it or not, you're going to do research in your personal life. Which car has the best gas mileage? How sick is this medical treatment going to make me? Where are we going on vacation this year? How much money should I invest? We do research on these topics to help us navigate adulthood. Again, you can't just go anywhere for that information. I'm shocked by how many people confess to using social media for their information needs. This is not in your best interest for making good decisions. I have a friend from high school. She lives and dies for TikTok. Several weeks ago, we were talking about vitamin D levels. And my vitamin D levels, for whatever reason, tend to be on the lower side. And she was trying to convince me to go out and stare at the sun. She had watched a TikTok video that told her if you stare at the sun, it triggers something on the back of your eye and your body will better take in vitamin D. Now, This is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all know that staring at the sun is going to cause eye damage or blindness. But my friend Rosalie believes this. She takes all kinds of homeopathic pills because someone on TikTok told her they were good for her. And she takes black seed oil. She was rubbing oh geez, I can't think of the name of the oil right now, onto her knees to improve her arthritis. I mean, I don't think there's any good resources of information out there that justify her doing and taking some of these things she's doing. But because TikTok told her it was great, she's all for it. Now, maybe some of these things are okay. I don't know. But I'm not going to listen to someone who is an expert to help me make decisions on my health or my money or my kids and on and on and on. You have to get the truth, and that involves dealing with high quality resources. You got to take the time with this. You have to make research a priority. You know, sit down with a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and spend time reading or watching educational videos. There is good stuff out there for you to use as a reference. Use the good sources that are out there to help you write that 15-page paper or to make a decision on which nursing home to send your mom to later on. Don't cheap out on yourself or others by using easy to access garbage. Read differing points of view, take lots of notes, and keep track of where you got them from. Some of what you find is going to be useful, and some of it you're just going to throw out because it's not helping you make the decision or write the paper, whatever the case may be. That's part of the process. And you have to watch out for bias. I mentioned that earlier. And you can't write with bias. The definition of bias is prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way that's considered to be unfair. Um, Bias is everywhere in the news. You have to be very careful when you're listening to news that you avoid bias. All information can be impacted by the bias of the creator. You have to pay attention. That's where we go back to the just the facts, Jack. If I'm giving you just the facts, Jack, there's no bias involved there. But the minute I start throwing my opinion in, then we've got some bias because my opinion is gonna represent my bias. So you have to be careful for that. And there's plenty of bias out there to go around for everyone on social media, in the news, and many other places in our lives. You have to learn to recognize it and determine what you can and cannot stand. Now, what do I mean by that? I watch MSNBC for my news. MSNBC is biased. I know that. I take that into consideration when I listen to the news, and it helps me make my own opinion and decisions about what I hear on the news. But I recognize that bias. I know where they're coming from, and I take that into consideration. There are a lot of people out there who listen to the news and don't take that bias into consideration. They think everything they're hearing is real and true. The same thing can happen when you're reading something. If there's too much of that bias in there, you're not getting just the facts. You're dealing with someone's opinion, which may be yours, may not be yours, but it's going to impact what you get out of that research and what you get out of that information. So do take bias into consideration. Lastly, we need to talk about databases. Um, we have not used many databases at Rio schools. The only one that I did show you with when you're over here was BadgerLink. The great thing about databases is someone's already checked on the credibility of these sources. They are quality and an excellent place for you to start your research process. Colleges and universities will give you access to lots and lots of databases across a wide range of topics. And it used to be you could go into the basement of the college library and there's magazines everywhere. Now, I haven't been to college since the Stone Age, but I know when COVID came along, it was determined at first that magazines could spread COVID, so a lot of magazines disappeared. That doesn't mean they're necessarily non-existent anymore. They're still being published, but the information, instead of coming out in a hard copy you can touch, is being put into databases. Um, there are journals and things out there that you haven't even heard of that cover various topics and show people's research and allow you to read their research so that you can take the data they have accumulated and make your own decision with it. Um, those will all be available to you in these databases in college. And the databases in college are going to be at a much higher level than what your typical person would want to access. I mean, a journal of education is going to be much more sophisticated than reading the most recent article in Good Housekeeping magazine. But they're provided to you so you have access to high quality information. The great news is about databases today is that they're available 24 hours a day. I can remember trudging off to the library, going to the basement, digging through the magazines, on the journals, only to find out the one you wanted was checked out by someone else, put in someplace else by someone who didn't know enough to put it back in the right place, or it hasn't been reshelved. That you don't have to worry about anymore. You go to the database, you do the research, the article is there. Plus, if you need to, you can print it off. It's just there and available. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you don't have enough information on your topic, you can search a database online and get what you need and move on. There's no restrictions anymore of when the library is open, when the library is not. Use these databases. If you're a person who's heading off to college, university, they typically provide training on how to use everything in the library. Libraries in college and universities are organized quite a bit different than what our school libraries and our public libraries are. So do take advantage of those trainings so you are capable of using the resources available to you at the library. And if you haven't already done so, start accessing using BadgerLink, which is provided by the state of Wisconsin to all Wisconsin residents. I'm almost positive I showed it to you in 5th grade. We didn't delve into it too deeply, but it is a source of databases provided to every person living in the state of Wisconsin, and they're free to access at school or with a valid state library card. It's a great source of stuff. You've got access to magazines and scholarly articles, and there's even, for those of you who aren't heading to college, there's access to handbooks on auto repair. So those things are available to you as a state resident, and they are free. Please take advantage of them. If there's information you need as you get older, if your kids need access to information, databases, they're a BadgerLink, and again, available 24 hours a day. You don't have to worry until that library opens up. So I hope this has helped some with resources, access to information. To give you an idea, I mean, I can remember once a student came up to the counter in a library and said, "Aren't you bored, Miss Mertz?" There's a whole lot more to being a librarian and dealing with information than what the average person understands. And we do take into account all these things. Any kind of reference book I buy or nonfiction book I put in the library, these are ideas that go through my head. Is it quality information? Is it something you're going to be looking for? Is it going to help you? All of those things are important. So I guess if you have any questions, get them to Mr. Roth and shoot them my way, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope this helped you a little bit. And for those of you who are graduating going on to college here, good luck to you. And for all the rest of you as well. Keep that research aspect in mind because you're going to be looking for information. Be smart about how you do it. Thanks for inviting me to talk to you. Bye-bye.